All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, today we are going to be talking about taxes. Yay! The one thing not many people like, actually, I don't think anyone really likes paying taxes, but it's something that we do need to talk about because the thing is, um, in my years, um, I have met a lot of people who talk about stuff like, oh, we shouldn't be paying taxes. Oh, the tax is so high. Oh, this, that. And I tell them, do you have children, grandchildren, some of that? Yeah. Do they go to school? Yeah. That's where your tax money goes to. You know, don't do you support the police, firemen, some of that? Yeah, I support them. I support. Then why would you want to cut their funding? Why would you want to make sure that they have no money? Because that's where they get their money is from taxes. You know, do you support the veterans? Oh, yes, yes, I support the veterans. Then why would you want their basically take away their money? You know, stuff to help them, uh, get back on their feet, pay them, things like that. Why would you want to take that away from them? Because again, that comes from taxes. So a lot of people I've met, when they talk about taxes, they're talking out of their rear ends because they don't know what they're talking about. Okay. Are taxes high? Sure, maybe. But the thing is, do you reap benefits from it? Absolutely. And that's what today is going to be about. How the government gets money and basically why. Okay. So today's objective, we're going to analyze what a luxury tax is. We're going to create an argument on whether a sin tax is more to help people or is it to help the government. Okay. Now, here is your warm up. Um, the question's asking you, based off this picture, look what the people are saying. Um, what do you think this artist is trying to say about the tax code? Okay, so look at all that stuff. Look at the background stuff. Look what they're saying. What do you think they're trying to say about the tax code? And please do not put some like, I don't know. Really, you have no idea. There's nothing pops in your head when you're seeing all this like paper stuff twisted and turning and some of that. You got none. Okay, because again, somebody tried to say this in class, and I'm like, no, I'm not having that. You're gonna tell me not one thought popped in your head. So do not put that kind of stuff, guys. Okay? You have plenty of time because you're doing this not in class. So you have plenty of time to pause the video, really look at this picture, analyze it, break it down. Okay? So go ahead, do that. Pause the video because we're moving on in three, two, one. So the U.S. government, I don't know if you notice or not, needs a lot of money to run effectively. And it's not just at the top levels of the government. That's the federal level. There's also the state government and local government. So, like the city of Fresno, city of LA, San Francisco, um, Tulare, Visalia, even local governments, they need money to run efficiently. Now, I just looked this up the other day. Um, Last year, the government collected $4.9 trillion in taxes. Now, if you broke that down for every man, woman, and child, uh, basically there's 331 million Americans in our country. So if you broke down that 4.9 by 331 million, basically every man, woman, and child has paid $14,763.48. Here's the thing, you probably haven't spent $14,763 in taxes. Chances are you didn't. Right. Me, on the other hand, more likely, yeah. I probably picked up part of your bill, so you're welcome. Okay. Now, does that mean that you haven't put anything into taxes into our government? No, you actually have, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Okay. But when you have a job and you pay your taxes, um, the government, takes from your check, then yeah, that's part of that. Okay. Now, what are taxes good for? What are they used for? Taxes are placed on goods and services. They're meant to help out people and with different programs and things like that. People, businesses, things like that. Okay. But they are placed on goods and services, things you buy, whether it's food or a tire for your car or um, when you get a massage, things like that. All those things, they do tax them. Now, back in 1988, during the presidential election of that year, the president, the then, you know, candidate was running for president, he was vice president at the time, George Herbert Walker Bush, basically said, "Read my lips, no new taxes." A lot of people applauded him, saying, "Heck yeah, no new taxes." Then we went to war with Saddam Hussein and things like that, the Gulf War. So basically, he went to war, kind of put the war on the credit card. And like all good, responsible adults, he realized we have to pay the bill. We have to pay the bill. So he was like, well, we can't tax the middle class people because they've been taxed like crazy. So who else can we tax that they could be okay with being taxed because they have enough money? And Congress passed a luxury tax on the rich. So basically, they tax them not on just how much money they have, they tax them on luxury things, big things, expensive cars, Ferraris, and things like that. Private aircrafts. Hey, you have enough money to buy that? Guess what? You have enough money to uh, put into taxes. You know, yachts and other expensive things. Now, here's the thing, guys, and I said this during class, and I'll stand by this till the day I die. A lot of these really wealthy people that don't want to pay these taxes, they will look at you, the average American, tell you, look, they did this to us, they're going to do it to you. Ooh. And it's like, no, I don't have enough money to buy a private aircraft or buy a yacht. You know, the government's not going to come after me really unless you pay them, unless you buy some lobbyist to schmooze some politician so that they tax me instead of you. So don't try to get me to vote on getting rid of this tax because guess what? You can afford it. I can't. But again, like I say, these really rich people, they don't want to spend their money. They want to hold on to it, save it. Whereas they rather have you be taxed and they try to scare you into voting certain ways. Now, taxes can be used to encourage and discourage different types of activities. So like homeowners can use the interest of payment on their mortgages as tax deduction. Now, why does the government do this? Because they want you to buy a home. They want Americans to be homeowners because they know you're going to buy stuff to put into your home. You're going to take care of it. And it basically goes to the American dream part of like everyone owns a part of this country, you know. What the government does to try to stop people from doing things is they have this thing called the sin tax. It's a relatively high tax designed to raise revenue, but also at the same time reduce the consumption of some things that society calls undesirables. So there's two main things that are taxed, and that's liquor and tobacco. Okay, like I told the class today, when I was like 8 years old, I remember my godfather being able to buy a huge carton of cigarettes for like $6. Nowadays, you can't even buy a pack of cigarettes for $6 because the price is so high. It's like $10 for a pack. Um, but yeah, that's how it was back then because they didn't really have a sin tax on cigarettes. But as time went on, yeah, they were like, you know what, smoking leads to cancer, things like that, and secondhand smoke, and so excuse me, there was a lot of stuff like that to try to stop people from smoking. So does it work? Kind of, sort of, but not really. Because the thing you have to remember is these things are addictive. Okay. Um, and if someone says like, "Oh, they're not addictive," tell them, "Well, don't drink or smoke cigarettes or smoke anything for 3 weeks." I kid you not, by 3 days, they're gonna be just agitated. They're gonna be fidgety, things like that, because again, it is addictive. Now, let's say there's a $1 tax on all this liquor and alcohol and some of that. Guys, this is billions of dollars that the government is making because again, this stuff is addictive. People are still going to buy it, whether the prices are high or not. Okay, excuse me. Some people, will kick the habit, and which is good for them. Okay, awesome. But there are some people, man, they need their cigarettes, and they don't mind spending 12, $15 on a pack of cigarettes, one pack. Now, another way that the government gets money is through this thing called the income tax. This is the money tax on what people take home, their earnings. Okay. Now, everyone makes different amounts. Okay. We talked about this in the last video about how people get paid different amount of money on different jobs, your skills, things like that. Now, a tax code. This thing is thousands of pages long. It's very difficult to read. It's basically like lawyer talks type of stuff. Now, the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, they try to simplify this stuff for people, but the thing is, they're really good at this stuff, so they don't explain it very well, And this is why a lot of people don't like the tax code. Sure, there might be a code in there somewhere saying that you can save $20 on your taxes, but to find it and to apply and do all that paperwork and do all that stuff, some people are like, I'll just pay the $20 instead of going through all that hassle to find that one thing, you know. Or some people go, I'll just hire somebody to do my taxes for me, and that way I don't have to mess with it. All right. Sorry about that. So sales tax. This is another way. This is the way you guys, contribute to the government. When you buy things, sales tax is the general item tax on items you buy, whether it's food or video games or whatever. Anything you buy from a store, you are taxed on. You know, so if you've ever noticed when you buy a bag of chips and it's like $1.50 or $1.99, it says on the bag, when you pay for it, you don't pay $1.99. You're gonna pay like 208, 215 because that's the taxes, the sales tax added to it, you know. Now, some goods are exempt. Some things are not taxed. So some states, food, childcare, medicine aren't taxed because again, different states tax different things. Like here in California, they don't tax hot food, but you go to another state like Minnesota, I believe they don't tax food, gas, parts for your car, things like that. Yeah, they'll put a tax on it, but like food, they don't tax. If I remember right, I think they're one of those states that don't do that. So yeah. Now, sometimes there are laws or rules that allow people to avoid paying taxes. I'm sure you guys have heard of Jeff Bezos. That dude makes like $1 billion in a year, and he does not have to pay 1 cent of taxes. Um, there's a famous story I remember reading about this mogul, this guy who plays the stock market a lot, named Warren Buffett. This guy is a billionaire, and he basically said, my secretary, who gets paid maybe $100,000 a year, she pays more taxes than me. how is this guy who's making $1 billion not paying any taxes, but this poor lady who's the secretary who's only making like 100,000, she's getting taxed. So those things are called loopholes. They're exceptions, oversights, however you want to say it, in the tax law that allows some people and businesses to avoid paying taxes. Now, I'm sure you're probably thinking, oh, well, when I'm an adult, I'm going to find those loopholes. I'm going to do this and that. Guys, again, the tax code is very hard, very difficult, things like that. And you probably won't get it. Chances are, I mean, it's astronomically high. You won't get those loopholes like Bezos and Musk and things like that. Why? Because those guys are extremely rich. The loopholes are not fair. They are not. Okay? You need to realize that they are not fair. The game, in this sense, is kind of rigged a little bit more towards the rich and the ultra rich. Big businesses like oil and things like that, those guys, they don't pay any taxes. In fact, the government gives them money, so yeah, it sucks, but that's the way it is. Okay. Now, here's the thing, too. Even without loopholes, every taxpayer will not pay the same. Okay. One person may pay $600 in taxes. Another person may only pay $20. Another person may pay $3,000. Somebody might get the tax rebate. They paid more into it, so they get money back from the government. Okay, so no one is the same because again, there's our stipulations. Things like if you have kids, are you married, how many dependents you have. There's a lot of things. Okay. All right. So here's your question. I want you to go through this list and pick the top three places where you feel our tax money should go to, in your opinion. And don't forget the why. Why you pick these three. Okay. Now, these ones I showed you on here in this picture, or sorry, on this little chart thing. These are programs that get money from the government. Okay. These are not all of them, but it's a nice little chunk. So you have schools, police, firefighters, fixing city, town streets, helping homeless, EBT programs, helping expecting mothers, buses and trains, healthcare for the elderly, state worker retirement, healthcare for children, care for disabled people, cleaning parks, jails and prison, fixing the highway roads, building new stadiums, aid to farmers, caring for our veterans, and environmental cleaning. Of those whole list, what are the three you feel our tax money should go to and why? Okay. In your opinion, where should our money go to and why? And those pick three. Okay. Don't be picking something else from Google, things like that. From this list, three things. What three things would you say? And why did you choose those? Okay. Excuse me. So, with that being said, guys, if once you finish this question, you're done with this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You guys, take care, be safe, and I'll see you guys later, okay?